In the next edition of It's About Money, my guest will be George Wallace. He co-founded Gallery 96. Stay tuned for that show. Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon and thank you for joining us. I'm excited that my guest today is George Wallace and he founded Gallery 96. George, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nannette. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy that you're here. So tell me about Gallery 96.
Gallery 96 is located in Bushnell's Basin on Pittsford Victor Road, 604 Pittsford Victor Road. It's a fine art photography gallery. Located in a mid-19th century canal house that was transformed into a gallery by my partner, Paul Zachman, and it's the location for his business, Boardwalk Design, and Gallery 96.
I see. So he is an architectural designer, is that
exactly,
right?
and
okay.
It really having the gallery there provides a nice example of the kind of work that he does, that his company does.
I see. Oh,
yeah.
That's fantastic. So it's a kind of a nice synergy there. When his clients come in, they get to see the artwork that's there.
That's right. And unlike many other galleries, when you see the art in Gallery 96, you see it in a setting that it would be a great deal more like your home setting. It's not bare white walls. There are windows, which of course puts additional stress on organizing shows because you can't put just any size. You have only the space between the windows.
I see.
So.
I see. Oh, okay. That's yes. Of course, that's important. So the gallery is focused on photographic art, and I'm not saying that correctly. I'm twisting my tongue here. So, and it's a specific region of New York State, right? Western New York.
Yes, we really cater to Western New York, mostly around Rochester, of course, but the Finger Lakes area, and we'll go as far east as Syracuse and west as Buffalo. In fact, our hope is to expand our presence throughout the Niagara Frontier region.
I see. Oh, great. Oh, that would be wonderful. So what made you decide to co-found the gallery? What was what got it started? What was the fire that lit the whole project together?
Well, Paul Zachman and I were colleagues on boards in Pittsford Village, and both of us had an interest in photography. Paul really as a hobby, and I had been a partner at Image City Photography Gallery in Rochester City, and had in fact been looking for a place to open a gallery, but unfortunately the rents tended to be awfully high, and I didn't want to go bankrupt trying to run a gallery. When Paul was moving his offices, he said, you know, perhaps we could open a gallery in this space. Mm-hmm. My offices don't require a lot of space, and I have this small building. And so as he was renovating it with an eye toward it being predominantly a gallery, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So.
Yeah, the photographs are just magnificent.
Yeah.
And now you are quite prolific in the exhibitions that you've put on, and because it's an office, you really have to keep having art there, right? So, and you opened in December 2014.
That's correct, yes.
And so from December 2014 to May 2016, how many exhibitions have you been able to put on?
We've put on 13 exhibitions. What we try to do is have a new show about every 6 weeks. Other places will have them every 4 weeks, and I've always thought that 4 weeks may not really be enough. A photographer spends a lot of time photographing and then a lot of money framing, and to have it all over in a month just seemed to me, as a photographer, to be too short. So our shows are every 6 weeks. Another thing that we do that is perhaps a bit uncommon, we do not charge for a photographer to show his or her work. We do charge a commission if work sells, but that reduces some of the pressure on the photographers. And puts us in a nice position of being able to invite photographers whom we want, rather than simply following the money, which you need to do to pay the rent. So we think it's a good model. We've given ourselves about 4 years to break even, and we're doing well so far. So we're not dying. So.
That's good. So in terms of the economics, from a photographer's perspective, they take care of the materials and whatever it takes to present their art form.
That's correct.
And then they don't pay a fee to be exhibited. Of
That's
course,
correct.
you have to select them.
That's correct.
And then when a piece of theirs sells, then there's a commission charged.
That's correct.
On that. Okay.
The gallery charges a 40% commission. Now, when we run, as we have now, 2 juried exhibitions, we will charge someone to enter that, but it's basically it's a minimal fee. So.
Yeah, just to play the game. Otherwise, you have to take a little seriousness to
That's
that.
right.
Okay, got it. So, all right, so that actually works well. Now, from your standpoint, I mean, running a gallery, like if you had a standalone gallery, as I would picture a typical gallery would be, one would have to make that the destination, right? There's nobody there except to see the pieces of work on the walls.
That's right.
So, but that's different than your setup. So tell me a little bit about the dynamic of that, I mean, in terms of the traffic flow and the convenience and all that.
We're located right on the Erie Canal, out the back door, down the steps, into the water. So we hope for and plan for walk-in traffic from people, especially in the good weather. A big difficulty or thing that you have to deal with in having a gallery is someone needs to be there all the time.
Yes, yes.
So it's a decided plus when you share space with a company that's there anyway. So the office manager for Boardwalk Design is Julie Jackson, who happens to be Paul Zachman's sister.
Yeah.
She's there all the time, so we don't have to staff it. That removes a large burden. The amount of walk-in traffic has not been what we had hoped, but the development of Bushnell's Basin is ongoing, and there are lots and lots of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars go by every day, and we have a small parking lot. So we're definitely hopeful.
Yes,
So.
and so what's nice though is that they have clients that come in.
That's correct.
And so that's another way to have some traffic that would see the artwork.
That's right, and we have made some sales as a result of that. People come in, they see the beautiful design of the gallery, they see the lovely art. It works very nicely.
That's great. And you said that one of the overhead that typically it needs to be there. You can't open a gallery without staff there. So
That's
either
right.
you have to staff it and be, hunkered down with your time,
That's
or hire somebody, which takes up a good portion of the budget.
That's exactly right.
Especially with the minimum wage going up. So anyway,
true.
so at any rate, so this is kind of a lower expense structure. Not to say that there's no expenses, but
Yes.
it's a lower expense structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think one of our larger expenses is the opening receptions that we put on,
Okay.
because all the lighting and everything is low cost, LED lights. I mean, we did it right when we built the inside. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes on in a gallery, the promotion, preparing things like the posters,
posters,
maintaining the website, newsletters, that kind of thing.
I see.
Paul and I do that, and we get a lot of help from our wives.
Oh,
and of course, from Julie.
That's always wonderful.
That's right.
So
I don't do the newsletter.
Okay, got it. So in the model that you have, unlike a typical gallery, your expenses are different. You don't have the staffing expense, but you
Right.
do have the opening receptions,
Correct.
which, like you said, is the bigger probably part of the budget, if you will.
That's right.
And then, do you rent space then with the office, or how does that synergy work?
No, the cost of heating, lighting, what would be rent, is really carried by Paul Zachman's business.
I see.
So we're not in a position of having, at least at this point, to cover that.
I see. So you decorate his office.
That's right.
And in exchange, he covers the expenses.
That's correct.
That's a beautiful model, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I think it's great that, and for every exhibition, you do have an opening reception,
We
so
do.
people can come and see it, and yeah.
We do. And as I say, it's approximately every 6 weeks. The receptions are a lot of fun. People have a good time there, and it's a good thing. It's a party, party atmosphere.
Sure, sure. And that's the way people enjoy that better than having some sales pressure, or something
That's
like
right.
that, right?
That's right.
Now, you brought 2 artworks that we'd like to show.
Right.
May we see that?
Sure.
So this one here is a photograph, right?
It's a photograph. It's printed on canvas. It's of a state park, an Andagan State Park in Victor. It's the kind of thing that we'd show there.
It's beautiful.
Our focus tends to be more local, and so this would be an example. Although we do show other work besides local. The other picture I have is from the Netherlands.
I see, I see. That's beautiful. So the artist is local. The location could be local. And it's in the format where it's printed, because, when we think of photographs, the traditional way of printing it is on photographic paper, but way back, like I mentioned earlier, daguerreotype. But this one is on canvas,
Yes.
right? So it kind of gives you the feeling of a painting.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like there's some texture to it. That's beautiful.
Another thing, too, is you don't get any glare reflection when it's on canvas. And if you were using, it just makes sense, if you were doing a photo this size, which is 12 by 18, if you don't have the matte, you have more picture. So the picture is actually larger.
Sure.
You don't have the glare.
Right.
And as you were saying, you have nice texture.
Right, that's right. So in the past you would, how is this printed? In the same...
It's printed on the same printer. I actually printed this one. So
It's just different kind of paper.
different medium.
Medium, sorry,
you
yeah.
can print on metal too,
I see.
as some people do, or print on paper and then cover it with acrylic, and it gets very bright and shiny.
Sure. Yeah, just let's look like it's a painting.
Right, that's right.
Very nice. Thank you for bringing that. I
Okay.
appreciate it. And then we have another painting, like you said, from the Netherlands.
Yeah, this is it has a completely different feel to the first one. This is very soft, warm, really. This is one that I did as well.
Nice.
What I was attempting to do here was to replicate the feeling of the Dutch masters, that warm kind of glow, the browns and oranges.
And I can even feel that in the barriers. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. You're a very good photographer, George.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's great. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's great. It's nice to have the variety, but the commonality is that the photographers at the gallery are from the Western New York area.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. So, but the photographs may be of different locations. That's beautiful. Thank you for showing that.
Thank you.
So we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
My guest is George Wallace of Gallery 96. Stay right with us. We'll be right back.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
And we're back. My guest is George Wallace, and he co-founded Gallery 96, which is a photographic art gallery. Sorry, my accent is on the wrong syllable. But anyway, welcome, George. I'm really glad that you've joined us today. So let's talk about the money part of starting a gallery. How much capital, and you don't have to say the dollar amount, but is it in terms of opening a gallery? In your situation, it's got these unique partnership with an office, and you started together. So tell me about that and how it might be different from traditional galleries.
Well, if you were opening a traditional gallery, you might have to do some renovation to the space. Since my partner was already renovating the space as part of his office. He just designed it to maximize the gallery space.
Nice.
So for the gallery, which is a separate company, there was no cost. He was already doing it. It suited his purpose for his business, and it suited our purpose for a gallery. The things that would be specific to a gallery would be the hanging systems and the lighting, also the color paint that you would choose. Those are not major expenses, especially if your partner is an architectural designer.
Conveniently.
Lighting, for example, normally an LED light that you would use to shine on the artwork could cost as much as $100, $110 per fixture. Yet, because he understood and had the contacts, we were able to get it for like $25. So for us, the capital expense specifically to the gallery was low, definitely low.
So it sounds to me like a lot of work went into marketing, though, right? With the advent of social media a few years ago, I would imagine that's a big boon to your marketing efforts to reach out to the people.
Yes, from the beginning, we believed that the place to put our effort and whatever operating expenses we were going to put into marketing would be into electronic media. So we have a website.
Which is very, very nice, by the way. A lot of movements, really hip, so that's good.
A Facebook page, of course. We have an electronic newsletter. We use the company Constant Contact for the newsletter. We all have our individual websites where we promote. When a photographer comes to us, part of one of the conditions is that they either share their list with us or, and most people prefer this, that they do the promotion themselves. So we give them the electronic media that they can then use and send out to their people.
I see.
With our goal being to expand our mailing list for our newsletter so that we really get the word out. Now on our newsletter, city newspaper, the DNC, the Brighton Pittsford Post, those people are all receive our information, and they also offer us additional promotion.
Nice.
Simply when they report on what's upcoming in the art community.
Yeah, that's great. And you can show some photographs in the electronic media so that people get a glimpse of what might be there.
Yes, that's exactly right. And when a photographer shows at the gallery, we get JPEGs of all the work that they're going to show. So we have the opportunity of, keeping the site and the newsletter all fresh by changing things out. And it's good for the photographers, too, because it gives them really a platform to show their work, expands, the number of people who know them or have heard of them.
Sure.
Which, from a marketing standpoint, it's very important. The more times you can get your face and your work shown, the better off you are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, you're absolutely right. I mean, someone could do fantastic work, but if nobody knows about it,
That's right.
it's not going to move.
We have an upcoming show is a really interesting thing. A fellow came in for one of our courses because we also offer photography courses. And it turned out, I would say he's a fellow maybe in his mid-60s. He's been taking photographs for 30 plus years and has never shown them.
Oh my goodness.
And so in the upcoming show, some of his work is being shown, and it's spectacular.
Wow.
It's spectacular.
So he never has shown them because it's just a hobby for him.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
It's almost breathtaking. You think about photographers who are not discovered. I've only seen maybe 15 or 20 of his pieces. He's probably got thousands.
Wow.
So it's
Well, good for you.
It's
You're
very
opening up
exciting.
the possibilities for
very
him.
exciting. Another at a show, an upcoming show, we're having difficulty with a photographer whom we had contacted and who had agreed to show. We were having some difficulty. It turned out that this photographer is a high school junior, and she was out of town. So we're not, we judge the work. We don't judge the person or their age.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. It's really non-discriminatory. It's about the output. It
It's
doesn't
great.
matter what,
The photo we're showing of hers is wonderful. It's
Yeah.
just really wonderful.
Isn't that great about art? As long as people appreciate it, and it's
Yeah.
terrific, it doesn't matter who created it.
And we were surprised to learn that this work was done by a 16-year-old who was just
Sounds like a genius you have there. You might be the one that exposes the person or shows the person to the world. That's really great. So that's one way that you had, these were the older gentlemen that had come to one of the openings that you then invited to exhibit. What is the typical way that you connect with an artist to exhibit at your gallery?
Well, typically, since my partner is busy with his business, I will make the contacts. I will, since in our gallery it's by invitation, people really can't buy their way in, although if someone wanted to try.
But they have to have talent, though, I'm sure you.
I've been a partner at Image City Photography Gallery in the city, and I know a lot of local photographers. And I make a point of going to galleries, and when I see something that I like, I copy down the person's name and making the contact. So, and then we also have juried exhibitions where we invite anyone to submit work. And when people submit work, sometimes you find someone who you want to show more of their work. So that's a way. And then there are people that you simply hear about, a fellow named Dan Newberger, for example.
Sure,
who's
yes, been
known,
around, yes.
throughout the country. Well, Dan is shown in our gallery. He's a good friend. Or Jim Montanus, whose dad was a big photographer at Kodak. Or Matthias Bottrich, who's a photographer who has several times been in the Memorial Art Gallery photography show. So you hear about these people, and over the years you become part of the photography community.
Sure.
So that when someone comes along whom you haven't heard of and surprises you, it's delightful.
Sure.
But that's basically how we do it. And someone will tell us about somebody else. Have you seen such and such work? And then I'll reach out to them and make a contact. And it seems to work, at least at this point,
That's great. So for an artist, for a photographer who's never been had a show, and they are submitting their works,
Yes.
how does that typically work? Do you they submit the works they want to show, and then from there you select the pieces that get exhibited? Is that how it works? I just get a concept.
Certainly that's a way. We sometimes we'll have a theme. For example, the show that I showed before the poster, the theme was square. So all we required the photographers to do was to submit well-composed, well-thought-out, imaginative pictures in a square format. Other times, we'll decide the Erie Canal would be. So
I see.
go exercise your art on the Erie Canal. Sometimes we'll select a person and we'll say, okay, this person, we want to show their work. And we allow them the freedom to decide what they want.
I see.
So it's a combination. We're not rigid about it, because we'd like to show the best things, the things that give people the most pleasure, and also have the best opportunity to sell.
Sure, of course. And can you look at a piece and say, oh, that will sell? How does that work? Or sometimes really hard to predict. It's kind of...
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict. Speaking of my own work, I will come on a picture that I think is wonderful, and it doesn't sell. And then there'll be a picture which I'll think, well, this is pretty good, and it sells like crazy. But there are fundamental things about composition and the technique, and also, if something is underexposed, overexposed. I mean, you want to get the basics. They have to be perfect. They have to be excellent, and then so that then what you're trying to judge is the artistic insight.
Got it. That makes sense. So technically, it has to
Technically,
be
it has-
right. Yeah,
it has to be right.
Yes, okay.
Sometimes people will submit stuff that's not right, and you know, I'll have a quiet word with them about how we could do something about this.
I see.
And take care of it.
Got it. You see the potential, but it's not
Yeah,
quite.
yeah. I mean, everybody, people make mistakes, so you try to work with them
Sure.
so that you get a benefit. You know?
Sure. And sometimes it's hard to see when you're always working at it. You know, so you need to kind of
Oh,
have
absolutely.
somebody, either you step back or a different set of eyes to look at it.
That's exactly right. And one of the things that certainly I've noticed about photographers is that, and I'm sure it's true about people, if you set out to do something, you always want to do it as the best you can do. And I know for myself, I take photography workshops. I read about photography. I take lots of pictures. And it's funny because you look back at things that you were proud of, you know, maybe 10 years ago, and you say, I can see where I could have done this. So there's always room to improve the technical side.
Sure.
But you have to have that. And then we'll see
I see.
how good it is artistically. And you know it, often you know it right away. You look at it and you say, oh my.
That's good. No, so most of the photographs are done electronically, digitally, or
Digital.
So some of them no more film, or is that still a medium? of-
In the show that we have up now, there's one, no, there are 2 pictures that were done from film.
I see. Okay.
But the lion's share is digital.
Sure.
For many reasons. It's so much less expensive than film. And also, some people may not agree, what you can do as an artist, there's so many more possibilities, things that you can work with. Than with film. I mean, with film, most of us would take pictures with film and someone else would develop and print them.
Yes,
Or if you developed and printed them, you were limited in what you could do. Today, you can change the color of light.
Sure, right, yeah. So you
it's
can manipulate
phenomenal.
it better. You could do you could have a redo,
Yeah,
unlike
yeah.
photographs. Like, oh, it's too late. I missed the moment.
What you end up being able to do is to put on paper or on canvas what you had in your mind, the experience you had when you took the picture.
I see.
It's not necessarily an exact representation, but the picture that you print makes you feel the way you did when you were there. And the hope is that the audience will feel the same.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that's a nice note to end. So the half hour just went by quickly. Thank you very much for indulging us with Gallery 96 and also the world of photographic art and being displayed. And congratulations and best wishes.
Thanks very much, Nannette.
I think you've got a great format there, and as people know it in our community, more people I'm sure will be there to check out the good works.
Thank you.
So, and thank you, our audience, for seeing us today. I'm Nannette Nocon. It's About Money, and my guest is George Wallace of Gallery 96. Until next time.